When most people think about moving to Fairfield County, Connecticut, they go straight to the same list: Greenwich, Westport, Darien, Wilton. And if that's your budget and your goal, that's great. But those towns are fully priced in. What I want to talk about today are the 5 towns in Fairfield County that are genuinely flying under the radar, places where you get real Connecticut quality of life at a price that doesn't make your eyes water. And in one case, I'm going to talk about a town most buyers have completely miscategorized. And that miscategorization is actually working in buyers' favor right now. I've lived in Connecticut my entire life and I run a real estate brokerage here. We cover the whole state. My team is so active in Fairfield County every single week. And what I'm telling you is based on what I actually see buyers doing, not just what makes a good headline. Let me break down each town for you. First up, Shelton, the tax story that nobody's telling. Most people doing Fairfield County research skip Shelton because it doesn't have the name recognition of Westport or Wilton or Greenwich. But that's a mistake. The 2025 median price here was only $545,000. That's legitimate Fairfield County product. And homes were moving at a little over 101% and sold in about 26 days. So it's very competitive. It's an active market. The reasons buyers skip it is because its perception is an issue. It's not a quality issue. The mill rate in Shelton is 17.47. I'm going to let that sit for a second. Trumbull, which we're going to get to in a minute, runs about 35 mills. If you're comparing a $600,000 house in Shelton versus a similar house in Trumbull, you're looking at almost $10,000 difference in annual property tax. Over 10 years of homeownership, that is a 6-figure gap. In Connecticut, where property taxes are already elevated compared to the national average, Shelton's mill rate is a genuine exception. This is not a minor data point. It is the central reason serious buyers should have Shelton on their list. Shelton's commercial base is also real. Major employers, including General Electric, Hubble, they've all been here for decades. The downtown area along the Housatonic River has been recently redeveloped. Historic mill buildings have been converted into condos, waterfront parks. They have walkable restaurant options. Route 8 gives you direct access to Bridgeport and I-95. And if you need a train, the Derby Shelton station runs across the river, connects you to Bridgeport, brings you to Metro North. But like anything else, there's got to be some cons, right? So let's get into those. Shelton does not have direct Metro North station. If your commute is to New York City and you require a train in your hometown, you're going to end up driving to the Derby Shelton station or connecting through Bridgeport. That's going to add some time. And parts of Shelton near downtown core have a denser, more urban feel that some buyers don't expect from a Fairfield County suburb. If you want that quiet subdivision feel, the west side of town delivers it. But you need to be specific about which neighborhood you're targeting. Always do your own research on crime and safety of any area you are seriously considering. Shelton is for the buyer who understands that the mill rate is a major part of the total cost calculation. It's also for the buyer who doesn't need a train from their driveway to New York City. It's for people who want Fairfield County quality at a price that reflects the town's lower profile rather than its actual merit. Next up, let's talk about Newtown and the perception gap. Newtown carries a perception in the relocation market that is years behind its current reality. Buyers hear the name and many move on. That hesitation has created a real price gap for what Newtown offers and what you'd pay for a comparable town. The 2025 median average for Newtown was $642,000. Fairfield County's average was $795,000. So for a town with this quality, with this great infrastructure, with the community, the gap is huge. The data shows that buyers are figuring it out. There were 351 closed sales in 2025. That's up almost 15% year over year. Demand is moving. Newtown has the infrastructure of a significantly more expensive Fairfield County town. Main Street offers a genuine small town character, local pharmacies, independent restaurants, walkable retail. The town green and the flagpole are iconic, like out of a Hallmark movie. The owner-occupied rate is over 88%, which tells you something. It's the stability and the engagement of the people who live there. Here's the thing about Newtown's location that I watch buyers miss. I-84 runs right through it. That's a positive thing for a growing segment of the hybrid and remote workers who don't need to take the train daily to New York City, but they want highway access in multiple directions. Newtown sits at a genuine crossroad. New Haven to the south, Danbury to the west, Hartford to the north. For lifestyle buyers who want Fairfield County quality without being locked into New York City commuter patterns, this location is an asset, and it's undervalued in most relocation searches. Let's talk about the cons. The commute to Manhattan by rail requires a drive to neighboring towns. The closest is Metro North in Bethel or Danbury. Average commute times run about 32 minutes one way. If your life depends on direct traffic to Grand Central, Newtown might not be your town. The nightlife and entertainment in the town itself are super limited. Not that I don't love Cover 2, but if you're coming from an urban environment and expecting a walkable restaurant scene outside your front door, Newtown will feel real quiet. That's a feature for some buyers, but it's also a real limitation for others. Know yourself going in. Newtown is for the buyer who's willing to look past the perception of data, who doesn't need a train from their driveway, and who wants genuine Fairfield County quality at a price that hasn't fully caught up to what other towns are paying. And it will deliver. The 14% year-over-year jump in closed sales is telling you that the market is starting to figure this out. If you're figuring out which Fairfield County town actually fits your situation, my team at Dave Jones Realty works with buyers every single day to help get you in and out of Connecticut. We know these towns inside and out. The link to reach us is in the description below. The next town is one that I'm pretty excited about. It is an awesome Fairfield County town called Trumbull, the tightest market you're not watching. Trumbull consistently gets underestimated in relocation research. Buyers making their Fairfield County shortlist tend to go to Westport, Fairfield, Darien, and Trumbull gets treated as a secondary market. But the data says otherwise. In 2025, Trumbull had a 1-month supply of inventory, 23 days on average for homes on market, and almost 103% of list price to sold price. This is not a sleepy secondary market. This is one of the most competitive towns in Fairfield County, and it hasn't gotten the relocation attention it deserves, which means the pricing still has room to run. The location geometry in Trumbull is genuinely excellent. You're between Bridgeport and Monroe with 95 to the south, the Merritt Parkway directly accessible, Metro North stations in neighboring Bridgeport and Fairfield, both within easy reach. And for buyers who need real commute flexibility, whether it's New York City by train, Stamford by car, or New Haven by highway, Trumbull delivers the reach to all those towns at a price that is hard to match. You're close to everything without being in the middle of anything. Trumbull also has a strong green space. The Pequannock River Trail runs for miles through the town. Indian Ledge Park has hiking, rock climbing, and sports facilities. For buyers comparing Fairfield County suburbs, Trumbull's park infrastructure is above average and genuinely integrated into daily life. Now the cons. And if I'm going to be direct about the main one, the mill rate in Trumbull runs about 35 mills. So on a $650,000 assessed home, the annual taxes would be $22,000 to $24,000. Compare that to Shelton's 17.47 mils, and you're looking at a massive difference in carrying costs. Trumbull delivers, but it charges for it. You need to budget for it, honestly. Walkability is also very limited. There's no real downtown center, and it doesn't really function as a walkable hub. Most daily tasks are going to require you to have a car. Trumbull's for the buyer who wants competitive Fairfield County real estate, genuine multi-directional commute flexibility, strong outdoor infrastructure, and who is budgeted honestly for property taxes. The very limited 1-month supply of inventory means that when you finally find a house here, you need to act on it. Next up, we're going to talk about Ansonia, Fairfield County's best entry point. Ansonia sits in New Haven County, but its geography puts it in the Shelton-Derby corridor that most Fairfield County buyers completely ignore. At a 2025 median price of $380,000, less than half of Fairfield County's early 2026 single-family median price, this is the most affordable town on the list. And yes, it's not Fairfield County, but it's right there. And it's not affordable because there's nothing here. It's affordable because buyers haven't caught up for what's happening yet. 5-year appreciation of 49%, active downtown revitalization, and one of the most interesting architectural housing stocks in the lower Naugatuck Valley. The housing characteristics in Ansonia are genuinely compelling at the price point. We have renovated Queen Anne Victorians, bungalows with front porches, Cape Cods on big lots, colonial farmhouses. These are homes that would cost dramatically more in almost any other Fairfield County adjacent market. And that revitalization story is real. An $18 million soccer and sports complex broke ground along the Naugatuck River. The downtown area has active dining. There's a Target on Main Street. State housing investment is flowing in. This is a city actively being improved, and the price hasn't fully caught up yet. Here's the unexpected lifestyle angle about Ansonia that most people don't discover until they look it up. The Ansonia Nature and Rec Center is 150 plus acres of wooded hills, fields, streams, guided hikes, educational programs. The Naugatuck River runs right through it. Kayaking, canoeing, fishing for trout and salmon. The level of outdoor access at this price point is very surprising. But let's talk about the cons. Ansonia is a city, not a suburb. Population density here is real, and your experience is going to vary block to block more than a traditional suburban town. If you're expecting quiet residential subdivision feel of Trumbull, that's not this. The revitalization is real, but it's still in progress. Not every street reflects that trajectory, and you need to evaluate specific neighborhoods carefully before you commit. Do your work here. The upside is real, but the due diligence is required. Ansonia is for the buyer who wants into Fairfield County territory at a price that actually still makes sense for their income. It's for people who appreciate architecture and character instead of just cookie-cutter construction. This is for people who have vision to recognize that it is a market in motion rather than fully arrived. 49% appreciation over 5 years tells you the story. If you're relocating to Connecticut and you want to understand which Fairfield County town actually makes sense for your budget, for your lifestyle, then you have to reach out to Dave Jones Realty. Next up, we have Easton, the luxury story that nobody's covering. I want to be upfront about something with Easton. This town is not unknown to local Connecticut buyers. People in Fairfield County absolutely know it. It's under the radar for relocation market buyers. Buyers specifically moving here from New York, New Jersey, out of state, who are doing YouTube research, they almost never find content on Easton. Yet in 2025, it had less than 1 month of supply of inventory. Less than a month. It had 102% of list price to sold price with 93 closed transactions, and that's up 16% year over year. For buyers in the 800,000 to 1.5 million range who want rural Fairfield County living, Easton is exactly what you are looking for. Most of them don't even know the town exists. Easton has deliberately limited commercial developments to preserve its rural character, and that's not by accident. Half the property in town is owned by the Aquarian Water Company, and they protect huge swaths of open land from being developed. The result is a town that feels genuinely rural. It has open fields, farm stands, wooded roads, and almost zero traffic, all while sitting inside Fairfield County, one of the wealthiest and most developed counties in New England. You cannot replicate this at any price point in Westport or Darien. The land protection here is structural and permanent. The geographic position is better than most people realize. With Route 15, the Merritt Parkway, it gives you clean southwest access towards Westchester in New York City. Westport and Fairfield are close enough for daily errands, including the Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and Westchester Airport is super close, right up the street. But for a rural town, Easton manages to be remarkably close to everything while feeling genuinely far from anything. Here's the data point that should stop every luxury buyer in their tracks: 0.9 months of supply. In March of 2025, there were 6 houses for sale in all of Easton. 6 for a town with a median sales price of $957,000. The scarcity here is structural. The zoning is restrictive by design, and limited commercial development means almost no speculative building. When homes come to the market in Easton, they move fast. And for buyers who get in, that same inventory constraint is a long-term protection for their investment. The cons? Easton is rural in ways that are completely non-negotiable. There is no downtown. There is no walkable commercial use. There is nothing to walk to and from for your house by design. Zoning prevents it. Every errand requires a car, every time. For buyers who intellectually embrace rural living but have never actually lived somewhere without commercial infrastructure, Easton will require adjustment. And the price point is real. We're talking entry level just below $1 million, $957,000 median price, with just 6 houses on the market at the time of this video. That means you need to be pre-approved and ready to move. You have to be working with somebody who's access to off-market information. By the time most listings hit Zillow in Easton, the conversation is already underway for a buyer to buy it. Always do your research on crime and safety in the area if you are seriously considering moving somewhere. For school information, we have an awesome resource on our website. It is the greatschools.org school reports. Easton is for the buyer who has the budget for genuine rural luxury and you value land and privacy above commercial convenience. It's for the buyer who understands that structural scarcity in this market is both a challenge, but it's also going to provide protection. If that profile fits, then Easton is one of the most underrepresented opportunities in all of Fairfield County. So here's the thread that connects those 5 towns. Every one of them has a gap between how it's perceived by the relocation market and how the actual data shows. Shelton has the lowest mill rate in the county, and almost nobody is talking about it. Newtown's perception is years behind its reality with the 15% year-over-year jump in sales, but the market is catching up. Trumbull has a 1-month supply of inventory and is selling at 102% of list price with just 23 days on market. That's not a secondary market. Ansonia has 49% 5-year appreciation in architectural housing stock that punches way above its price point. And Easton has less than a 1 month supply of inventory in a nearly $1 million median price town that most relocation buyers have never actually searched. The smartest moves in real estate typically happen in the gap between perception and reality when it comes to the real estate market. These 5 towns have that gap right now. If you're seriously looking at Fairfield County and want guidance from the people who actually work in this market, actually live in this market, actually show houses in this market, reach out to the Dave Jones Realty team. All our information is in the description. We will see you in the next video where we talk about everything CT life and living in Connecticut.